Hey everyone, welcome to the Wild and Uncut Podcast, brought to you by Ruger. I'm your host, Kristy Titus. Thank you for tuning in. The line is going hot, so let's go full send on this episode. In a world where rugged and reliable matters, Ruger stands strong. Celebrating 75 years of American-made craftsmanship, Ruger continues to set the standard for excellence in firearms. From the iconic 10/22 to the American rifle and beyond, each firearm embodies precision engineering and our deep-rooted traditions. Join us in honoring a legacy built on strength, innovation, and the American spirit. Hey you guys, thank you for tuning into this episode of the Wild and Uncut Podcast. I'm your host, Kristy Titus, and I'm here with the one, the only, Mr. J. Alain Smith.
Woohoo!
You literally do it all. Hunt, conservationist, guitar player, musician, actor, author.
Lawnmower. Tractor driver.
Snake killer.
Yeah. Whatever it takes.
Whatever your wife tells you to do.
That's right.
That's pretty much what you're doing.
Yeah, sometimes wash the dishes.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's...
Cook dinner.
Okay.
You got to do it all to be
He's
well-rounded.
like a maid, merry maid.
Yeah. Expensive, but good.
You get what you pay for.
That's right.
That's right, you're the best.
Yeah.
Of all the things.
Yeah.
So normally, this is so fun because I as an attendee of these events, often get to see you on stage. Don't get to interact with you personally. So I feel like this is a real privilege because I watch you on stage and you are so entertaining and charismatic, and I think, how in the heck does this guy come up with this stuff? Because people will often ask me to speak, and I think, I have nothing to talk about. And then I watch you and you're like, you get up there and you're like charismatic and you're entertaining and you have it going on. It's so easy for you. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Like, this is so...
Well, the difference is, see, I'm a born BSer. And so it just comes naturally, when I don't know, it's just, I love doing it. I really like doing it for, SCI and conservation and, for a good cause. And, it's a fun deal. And I think the big thing for, like, when you come to the shows and stuff, and thank you for saying those nice things about it, but it's a way of it's like with your TV show, right? It's a way to express yourself artistically, get out of your box, and do things that you don't normally get to do. So,
because normally you're washing dishes, so
exactly,
I get
and
it.
Driving a tractor and stuff. And one of the things I've tried to do, and hopefully it's shows in the TV show and things like that, is that I think sometimes people take themselves too seriously in the hunting industry, and especially when it comes to big game hunting and attending the conventions and things like that, that my goal has been to try and bring, some levity and some enjoyment to it. And even for the award ceremony, which we do on Thursday nights at the convention, me and Nick and Jim Shockey, it's always a blast because you're really, while you're giving awards, you're also sometimes poking fun at them or at yourselves or others that are on the stage with us. So it's made it a lot of fun to lighten things up and not be too serious about, me, and, whoa, look what I did this last year, or, I got this award, or all those things. It's great to get awards, but you got to remember that it's
also supposed to be fun.
It's just hunting.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed this year when Eva got on stage at SCI, and she was talking about if you bought her access deer hunt in Maui, you would get to see her in a bikini, and it's a much better sight than her dad in one. And I have been following Jim on social media, and there have been some photos surfacing of him in a pink a somewhat Speedo type device. I don't know what's going on in that area, but
yeah, he's got a lot of shtick about that. And just for the record, I can guarantee you that there will never be a social media post where Alain Smith is in a Speedo. I've got
Kristy
one.
Titus, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, No bikini shots, but yeah, but you know, Jim's a brave soul.
He is.
You know, he puts himself out there, and if he thinks he's macho enough to wear a pink Speedo, go for it, brother.
Yeah, no, you guys have a good time, and it's definitely, like you said, it does bring the room down to a different place, and it's a welcomed space because sometimes it gets very monotonous. So it's a good break in the monotony.
There's some speakers that get a little long-winded.
Yeah.
But we're working on it. But I really like the format, though. Speaking of the conventions, don't you just love being in Nashville?
Yes.
I mean, SCI moving to Nashville
is the greatest thing ever.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
There's so much to do. And plus, I like the whole, the room that the dinners are in now, and the bread events, you know, where
the bread is
where
beautiful.
They have that dinner as well. So I think that whole move, and getting so many more people to come to the convention now because it's closer for a lot of people than going to Vegas and places like that.
In Nashville, everybody has fun in Nashville. Every bar or restaurant you go to has live entertainment, and the music there, it's like all of these unfound geniuses in music. And as you know, there's a lot of people with talent, yourself included, that are musicians, and you know, just 15 years ago, Chris Stapleton was playing downtown in a bar, right? Like, think about that. Like, now you pay how much for a ticket to go watch his show?
Yeah. No, I literally, we usually go a couple days before the convention, then stay a couple days after, because we're working the whole time.
Yeah.
You can't really go out to the places. But every time I go there and I sit in one of those bars and watch, you know, some guy that's playing in a little dive place, and you go, I'm never playing my guitar again.
Yeah.
That guy is so good.
So good.
And he's playing in this place,
Yeah.
you know, for what, $100 or something if he's lucky, or maybe he's playing for tips. But it's great though, and live music is, you know, so wonderful.
And music really is the gateway to a memory and an experience, and so is food. So that's the other thing I like about Nashville is really good food down there. Lots of good food, especially, you know, even at 1 a.m, there's lots of good dining options. So Nashville's been a fun location. I think all the members have enjoyed it, and it's become just this destination that, man, they can't build enough hotel rooms to hold us in Nashville right now. It's crazy.
Yeah. And if people haven't signed up yet, you better get signed up.
Yeah.
Because the sellouts for, I mean, I don't even know how many rooms are left, but I know most of the Omni and some of the other, the ones that are connected to it are already gone, and we're still 6 months out. So.
And we're roaring into town again, and it's going to be another incredible year. And you know, from a fundraising perspective and also from an entertainment value, I mean, the location is fantastic. And actually, now we're sitting in San Antonio. SCI just brought their headquarters from Tucson, Arizona here to San Antonio, to the great state of Texas. And we still have an office in Washington, D.C., and that's what we're here kind of celebrating now is SCI's growth. And I know you have been, your hunting career is tremendous. And, you know, obviously we'll talk about that. But in addition to being a hunter, your career in conservation is incredible. What you have given back every year to SCI and other organizations is huge. I mean, it's not that, you know, you're taking, you're always giving, and whether it's your entertainment or your time, your treasure, all of these things, right? You have just given so much.
Cash, they love cash.
Well, everybody likes money.
Yeah.
I could use some. So if you're looking for a charity.
Yeah, donation. You need a new mule.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. No, I'm actually cut off from acquisition of livestock.
No more buying horses or mules.
I'm out. I have my hands full. Yeah, so.
You know, back on the subject of SCI and being here in San Antonio, which is great, I think it's one of their best moves. What I really like about what SCI is doing right now is that they're making moves with the management that they have in place, making great decisions that are fiscally responsible.
Yes.
You know, this is a move that's not only good for the organization from a location, right? Texas is a good spot to be and to have a headquarters and centrally located in the U.S., but also it makes financial sense. And for those of us that are members, we want to see that our dollars are being spent wisely. And the direction they're going right now, I think, is incredible, and that they're doing those kinds of right moves that it encourages people to donate, right? You know that your money's not being wasted on overhead. It's being used for the mission of hunters' rights and conservation, and also it's just not international. SCI is doing so much for North American, Canadian and Mexican and U.S. hunters and hunters' rights and things like that, it makes you feel a lot better about when you are making contributions, whether that is time. And that's the other great thing about SCI too, is it's not about money necessarily, it's about giving your time. Especially at the chapter level where people spend all that time and energy for free and raising money and having a great event for their chapter every year. So it's
well, there's 150 chapters around the country right now, roughly, give or take. And what a lot of people don't realize with a lot of fundraisers and NGOs is, predominantly the money goes to corporate. SCI has kind of a different structure. So of each chapter that's local's largest fundraiser, only 30% goes to corporate. The other 70% stays local. So if you have community projects or outreach programs or any type of humanitarian educational outreach projects for fence removal, water projects, if you need funding, you can actually reach out to those local chapters and help fuel the change that you need to see in your own community. And that's in addition to what they're doing on a global scale and legislative scale with having a headquarters in Washington DC and a whole law firm. And when SCI rebranded from the Lion and Shield, I think, logo was roughly 20 years ago, I think, and they went to the tagline SCI First for Hunters. It was a much needed change because the organization is so misunderstood, and people think, well, they send all their money to the continent of Africa, and they're not doing anything locally, and that's the farthest thing from the truth because they're one of the only NGOs that has a legal team in Washington DC that's keeping the thumb on the pulse of what's going on with different lobbyists either for or against us, and they're really fighting the front lines to ensure that we have the right to hunt and fish. And in that battle is lost heavily and predominantly, not only in the court of public opinion, but in our legal courtrooms as well. And SCI is just, they're on the front lines.
Yeah, and we've had some great victories lately.
Yeah.
Black bear hunting opening up again.
Louisiana.
Yep, and state by state, we're seeing the hands-on changes, just like you're saying, at the local level, and it is for everybody. It's not a, as you say, the term safari. It has that connotation of Africa, but it's really not. It's about all over the world doing stuff, and so it's.
And you have been all over the world.
I've been lucky. I've gotten to shoot a lot of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of adventures. Like, I would love to live like a third of the adventures that you have lived. Well,
I'll tell you the good ones. Yeah, and then there's the bad ones. But yeah, it's been fun. We got to, I really enjoy the Africa's probably number one. I like shooting Cape buffalo. That's kind of
That's still on my list. Mozambique, it's on my list.
Okay, be careful because once you get one, you're going to be
hooked.
Yeah. Funny story about talking about Cape buffalo and your first one. I went to Africa the first time, to Zimbabwe. Saved up my money. I was about 35-ish, something like that. And so I'd saved and saved and saved. And the old Kleinberger taxidermy studio sent me over. They had a booking agency also. And got over there. And of course, spent more than I was planning on. Of course. And had to, wire the guy money back when I got back. But I shot a Cape buffalo on the trip and a kudu and some other stuff. Mainly little things because they were cheap. Yeah. The guy said, "Do you want a clip springer?" And I go, "I don't know, what's a clip springer? I never even heard of one." Yeah. I knew what a kudu was and a Cape buffalo and a leopard. And he says, "It's that thing right there on that rock." I said, "How much are they?" He said, $300. Boom!
You're like, yes, I do.
Yeah, for $300, I want, I'll have another one. So, but what it did was, by going on that first trip, it was strange that it literally changed my life to where on the trip home, I had a yellow notepad and I had to figure out how to make enough money
to go back,
that I could go back. And it changed my business life. It changed everything. And my business grew because of that. Yeah. And setting goals. And my goal was originally to go once every 2 years hunting, overseas. And so then it turned into hunting, 257 days a year kind of a thing. So it went
from a passion to an obsession.
Yeah, vice, some people would call it. Yeah.
Addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as you're not endangering yourself or your friends or family, you're fine. And
Yeah.
you don't need treatment.
Yeah. Hi, I'm J. Alan Smith, and I'm addicted to hunting.
But you have literally, so you don't just hunt Africa, you've actually also got a slam of sheep. So you are also a very accredited mountain hunter.
Yeah, a lot of the Asian sheep and the Ovis ones that they have in their organization. And Central Asia is its own experience, for the Marco Polos and the Argalis and things like that. I've been to Pakistan 9 times. It's its own experience, it's very different. Yeah. And the people there are really nice. I mean, I gotta say that, people say, well, are you afraid of the Taliban and stuff like that? And no, because you're with them.
Yeah.
They're the guys that have the area, and that's just their form of government or whatever. Not saying it's right, but I mean, it is what it is, and you go there. But the other thing too, though, about those areas, like especially an example with Pakistan, say the markhor, which was endangered and almost extinct.
Mm-hmm. They have a breeding program in Texas now that's helping replenish those wild
exactly, and even in the wild, they're bringing them back because they put a price on their head. Mm-hmm. And now the locals, rather than shooting one for lunch, they're waiting for the next American that's going to come over and pay them to take one of those markhors. And I literally sat there at the end of my hunt and watched the government official dole out $40,000 to the local village.
Wow.
To the chief. Because you hear about conservation, you think, well, yeah, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, or does it just go in somebody's pocket, in the city? It went there. I was back the next year to the same area for other species, and they had built a school that girls could go to because the girls weren't going to school. They had a little clinic where they had a full-time doctor, nurse, lady that was there. So because of that money. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, there's no way that they can do that kind of stuff. And $40,000 to a small village in Pakistan is everything. Winning the lottery. Yeah. Never mind 4 guys going there in 1 year for the few permits that are there. So it really is nice to see hands-on, that what we do as hunters is worthwhile.
And it's become a global effort. I mean, being in Texas, and Texas Trophy Hunters is also part of SCI, and part of all of this is, ensuring that we have a place to be stewards of these wild populations, that we can keep them solid breeding programs, and actually you have these countries that are now buying these wildlife species from places in Texas and importing them, or re-exporting, I should say, and they're sharing semen and genetics, and this is conservation through hunting completely, and I mean, some of these imperiled species wouldn't exist without hunters. Sable is another one. You take the sable in South Africa. 20 years ago, they were one of the most rare antelope species, and now they're very prolific because the value of them through hunting created an opportunity where people were like, okay, let's encourage the growth of the species, and invested a lot of money into ensuring that they had a bright future. Mm-hmm. It's incredible to watch all of this happen, and I can't imagine being in some of these countries and seeing the effects the way you have. You hear about it, you understand it, but watching it, and then watching it go from handing over money to the next year being a school. Yeah. Because there's so much red tape in government, and money gets lost so easily, but you're actually seeing it go to work on the ground, which is tremendous.
And even taking that same subject to the level where, in Tanzania as an example, Adam Clements has put a program together with SCI where we're darting lions now. Mm-hmm. And the idea, and this is wild lions out in Moyawasi area in western Tanzania, and the problem that they've been having real quick is that the male lions at a certain age are disappearing from the area, and they don't know where they're going. There's no poaching of lions. I mean, you'll get a little bit of it with if they kill cattle, if they get outside of the hunting areas, and they run into trouble when that happens. But we don't know what's going on with them because they'll know the lions. Each lion is pretty unique. When you see a lion, you know that that's Bob and that's Dave and that's Joe over there, the 3 lions. And so there's another example, but all of that is being funded by hunters. So the Hunter Legacy Fund put $400,000 into it, And then we've been auctioning off permits that someone could go and dart the lion, put a collar on it, as a conservation measure.
We just had Libby Gear on, the Young Hunter Award recipient from last year.
Yeah, great.
And she did a fundraising effort with John Banovich, and she helped raise the money to actually pay for those collars that went on that program.
Yep.
And she's just she was 15 years old at the time. And to me, it's incomprehensible to some degree of like this 15-year-old young girl that's like, hey, let's raise money and fund a conservation project like you're speaking of. And that's where, being a leader is so important, and when you see a need, to actually find a way to fill a need. And there's so much need out there for all these programs to help conserve and ensure this next generation of these imperiled species.
Yeah, no, it's up to us, because it's, if hunters don't step up and take care of these things, all these other NGOs, and tourism is a big part of African, especially African wildlife, but it brings nothing to the table compared to what the permits and that for hunting do, and setting those areas aside. But
I was over in South Africa during the peak of COVID, and nobody was traveling, so it was pretty unique. You'd get on a United flight and you're the only one apart from maybe 10 people on a flight because everybody's terrified. And South Africa never shut its border down, so I was like, hey, let's go. People probably think I'm crazy. You went to South Africa during COVID, but yes, I did. And I got COVID while I was there. But we actually took meat to a local orphanage, and those kids hadn't had fresh meat in months because hunters weren't coming. And you talk about a school or an orphanage in how hunting directly impacts those kids' lives. They'd been eating ramen noodles and Lord knows what else. Well, they have kind of like a grit that they eat in those cultures a lot. And it's very similar to a grit. And, when we showed up with meat, it was the look on those kids' faces. They were just so grateful. All of the resources, people look at hunting and they say trophy hunting, and there's just such negative connotation where it's really selective harvest, and nothing is wasted. Everything is given back and has a place and a purpose. And without the money that goes into us being in those places, the whole thing collapses. There's no funding.
Yeah. No,
it's really hard to explain that.
That's one of the cool parts about it when you see that.
Yeah, the kids.
And nothing goes to waste. That's the other part. There's some people think even in Africa or other places that, you just trophy hunting. And I've never been on a hunt anywhere that everything's utilized.
Everything.
Especially in Asia and Africa, every part of the guts and everything is used.
I was going to say that even the intestines are they keep those for casing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or making tripe out of it or what. Yeah, but
skull pikeys.
You have been to South Africa.
Oh, I can't stand the smell of a skull pikey. So for those of you that are watching, you don't know what a skull pikey is. They take a chunk of the intestine and then they mush together like liver and other organs, which I'm a huge fan of kidney. I am not a liver fan. And they make some kind of meat mixture, and then they shove it into the intestines and they make this little bite, and they call it a skull pikey. And when it's cooked, I can smell the liver. I cannot handle it. I cannot eat that. But there's a lot of people that absolutely love skull pikeys.
Don't look for it to be sold at McDonald's.
It is not. It could be in a chicken nugget, let's be honest. Because nobody knows what the pink slime is that is a chicken nugget.
Good point.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
That might be what it is.
It is. It's that version. It's the African version. Like a traditional version of the chicken nugget. It's the original chicken nugget.
Speaking of McDonald's, I built this house, and my daughter was 4 at the time, and it had a small room on the side of it, that I had some trophies in, some deer heads, and I got a cougar or something in there. And so my wife had said, hey, before you take Nicole in there, you should, really get with her and explain, that why there's dead animals in there, kind of a thing. So I took her in and we sat on the stairs, and she looked around and she was like, wow, this is really cool, and blah, blah, blah. And she said, what's that? And I said, oh, that's a deer. And what's that? Oh, that's an elk. And she says, huh? And she goes, well, why did you shoot him? And I thought, uh-oh. Here
my own kid.
Here comes the $1 million question. And I said, well, we go hunting for them and then we eat the meat from them. And she said, meat? What's meat? Like, she's that age where she kind of knows what you're talking about. And I said, meat, like when we go to McDonald's and you get a hamburger, right? She says, yeah. And I go, inside there, the brown stuff, that's the meat that's in there. And she goes, oh, yeah. And she looks around the room and she goes, so which one is French fries? I thought, okay, my conservation message is done for the day.
Yeah, you're failing, actually.
Yeah.
Is what you just realized in that moment,
I missed my point.
I am not doing my job here.
Yeah.
That is so funny.
Yeah, French fries.
Well, those are my favorite food, actually, French fries are. There's not a French fry or a potato that I've found that I don't love, so I'm an equal
Do you do it
opportunist.
like once a month, like you pamper yourself and...
I try to avoid them.
Because you're not eating them daily.
No. But if you truffle any French fry, I'm in, 100%. I can't say no.
Usually what I do is when I've been on the road for 3 weeks, I'll make a swing through McDonald's and get the French fries.
Just for the fries.
Yeah, just, because you haven't had any for a while, and then I don't have them for a couple months or a month or maybe 3 weeks later. But anyhow, they're pretty good.
In the heart of the wilderness, every step counts. No matter where or what you're hunting, OnX Hunt Elite has you covered in the U.S. and Canada with offline capability, land ownership, 3D mapping, and you can even access specialty courses, hunt research tools, and elite-specific features. No matter where you pursue the wild, adventure is assured when you upgrade to Elite for the ultimate hunting experience. There are a lot of Americans that understand the value of hunting, but we all know that right now, national support of hunting is extremely volatile. It seems that with every passing day, our voice is diminished and the court of public opinion is not effectively hearing our side. We need advocates working on our behalf in Washington, D.C. to defend our freedom to hunt. And thankfully, when we need it the most, we have that advocate in Safari Club International. SCI's world headquarters are located in Washington, D.C., just blocks from the United States Capitol, which means that SCI is on the ground with our congressional leaders and federal agencies on our behalf, on behalf of the hunting community. SCI has an active political presence in all 50 states through their extensive chapter network and government affairs staff. If you have ever wondered why you should be a member of SCI, you shouldn't wonder anymore. Join us in the fight to defend hunting. Go to safariclub.org to learn more. So what you've hunted, so many world hunting accomplishments. What is one hunt that you haven't done that you want to do still? Or that you want to repeat? I would be okay with a repeat.
I haven't done the Markhor in Tajikistan.
Okay.
So I'm going to go do that this December.
Okay.
And really excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of ran out of Asian animals. Mm-hmm. And this is one that's never been open till a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So that's...
Talk about the politics behind that a little bit, if you would.
Yeah, they've been there, and there's the numbers have grown because of conservation, and the local people had a situation where they same thing, right? They said, look, if you leave them alone and let them grow, we'll be able to get permits to go in there. Well, 20 years later, after all the politics with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife and the Tajikistan government and that, they finally got some export permits. And CITES, the organization that controls all that stuff, they issued the permits. And now what Tajikistan does, it's a unique conservation program. Each village, if you can imagine a mountain range, each village that's based at the river owns this many acres, this drainage of this mountain. So they get 2 permits for their area. Their neighbors get 2 permits. The next neighbor may get 4 permits because he's got a bigger area. So each village is responsible for their own markhors.
And wildlife management practices.
Yep, and making sure that they don't overgraze it, making sure that they are only taking, high quality old males that are finished breeding. And it's a great program, and they're shooting tremendous markhors in there right now. So you got to rob a bank before you go.
Well, 100%, yes.
Or, win the lottery. So
I'd have to save for my lifetime. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you got to have one.
You only live once.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So, but no, looking forward to that. I like mountain hunting a lot.
Yeah.
I'm lucky that I was,
And you're fit.
I'm built
you're a
for
fit
it.
guy.
And when it's easy to do it when you're, my size, not, I'd hate to be trying to do it if I was
a big guy.
Yeah.
The smaller
Eating
guys.
too many French fries.
The smaller guys do much better on the mountain. Like if you go on a sheep hunt, my experience is like 130, 140 pound guys do so much better than the 200 pound guys on the mountain. Especially they're carrying the same weight, but they
they got as much on their back as they weigh.
Yeah, like literally almost like half their body weight.
Yeah, but no, it's fun. I like the mountains. I like the experience of it, and I used to live in Alaska for years and got to hunt on our own up there, which was a great learning curve. And I like that whole concept of tents. And I mean, I love safari. Don't get me wrong.
For sure.
But the other extreme of tenting or bear hunting. I was on Unimak Island last year for 16 days in a tent. And
brown bear.
Yep, and you had 5 days of couldn't leave the tent because the wind was blowing so hard, and the rain and all that. So
did you get a brown bear?
I did not. I'm one of the few that didn't. Now I could have shot lots of bears.
Yeah.
But
not the right one.
Unimak Island's the home of the monsters.
Yeah.
I put in for 37 years, and
Yeah.
I finally got drawn.
Yeah.
And we had one at 100 yards. I was with Justin Dubai, one of the best brown bear guides on earth. Him and I had a brown bear charge about 10 years ago that, he stood his ground, which was pretty cool. So I like hunting with him. But I hired him to guide me with the specific instructions that you're to tell me not to shoot.
Yeah.
Okay? Because I'll shoot.
Yeah.
But you need to tell me that one's not big enough.
Yeah.
Because when when you get to see them in close.
And it's an impressive and intimidating animal, I can only imagine.
Unbelievable, And the difference too between, sometimes people forget, a 9-foot brown bear versus a true 10-foot-6 brown bear is a substantial, when you use that as a measurement. It's a different bear. It's
not a foot.
No.
It's not 12 inches.
It's 300
hundreds of pounds.
Yeah, or something like that. And so, but we looked at them, and so we sat on a beached whale for 16 days, and the right one never came. But anyway, it was a great experience, and it's nice to be out there doing it. But I don't regret it. I don't want to just shoot one to.
No.
I don't need another brown
about,
bear.
About being selectively harvesting. Also, it goes back into taking what the right animal is at the right time.
Yeah. And but yeah, I think that I'll tell you the hunt I would never do again is polar bear.
That's one I don't want to ever do. Yeah, it sounds absolutely miserable.
Yeah, I did it when, a long time ago, and it was with dog team. You go out with the dogs, and you stay in a pup tent with a Coleman stove, and
skins on the floor, on the ground.
Yep, 2 caribou skins, and 3 of us in a 2-man pup tent, and they're both smoking the whole time. Oof. And they've got a T-shirt and a Kmart windbreaker on, and I look like the Michelin Man. I got so much stuff on. I never took my clothes off.
No.
Even not my boots, not my parka, not my face mask for the whole time.
Really?
Yeah.
It was that cold?
Yeah, it averaged around 22 to minus 22 to minus 32.
And they were in a T-shirt in the tent.
They don't even care. They're in their sleeping bag. You wouldn't sleep in a Wyoming night in it.
I would die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I say, I got more stuff on, but no, it's a very, very difficult hunt and not fun at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I got some great stories from it
for
and
sure.
all that, and I got a bear, but it's not one that you go, wow, I can't wait to
go do that again.
Woo, that was a blast.
Yeah.
No, it was.
I know one other hunter, and he told me the same thing. Jim Craig, you probably know Jim.
Yeah.
And Jim said, that was a hard hunt, miserable hunt.
Yeah, and now I think the gear's a little better.
Yeah, and they use snowmobiles now?
Yeah, and people are able to, the outfitters themselves have got the local people geared up with the right stuff, where these guys, it's just another day for them. They're just like, yeah, come on, we're going hunting. Yeah. Wait a minute, where's the heater for the tent? Where's the, all your meals are frozen because there's no way to keep it from freezing at that temperature. Yeah. So they pull out a frozen pork chop, a frozen pack of peas, put them all in a frying pan with seal oil, because the seal oil doesn't freeze. Yeah. And everything tastes like seal oil.
And that's what the dogs eat too, is seal lard
and fox carcasses. And it was, but yeah, anyhow, that's one to, but hey, I encourage anybody who wants to go get a polar bear.
Go do it.
Woo!
No, thank you.
But I warned you.
That's one. And then there's some people that have been going muskox hunting. And that just seems a little bit anticlimactic for me as well. I'm like, well, I don't know. I really haven't had the desire for muskox. It doesn't seem that intoxicating to me as a hunt.
Do the Greenland one.
Is it good?
Yeah, and you do it before it snows.
Okay.
Yeah, and I want to say it's like a July thing if I remember right.
All right.
But that's a fun trip.
Is it?
Yeah,
okay.
And you get to see a lot of stuff. You can also get a caribou.
Okay.
Foxes, huge hares. It's a neat experience, but I've done them both. I've done the 30 below one too, and there again, the fun factor is
not good. I did a deer hunt in Nebraska, and it was 30 below, and my friend's house was there, so it was great because we'd go into her house. Our camera batteries lasted a half an hour, so I don't even know from a battery management perspective how you'd even document something. I don't think you can.
No, I mean, even we weren't filming, but I had cameras.
Yeah.
And you just keep the batteries inside, against your skin just to keep them warm, and then you pull them out. But you couldn't have them out for 5 minutes, and they're completely dead.
Yeah.
So, and it wouldn't come back.
No.
It just burns them out. They just don't like that cold, but no. And we run across that on some of our mountain trips too, where you have no chance to recharge them. Mm-hmm. And when it gets cold in some of those areas, we had a show we did for the Himalayan ibex in Pakistan. And while it wasn't real snowy, it was rarely above freezing, and it was a real pain. The biggest thing, as you know, is you just didn't run a lot of B-roll.
No.
You're saving it for the kill shot,
moment.
And then you film some stuff afterwards.
Yeah.
Little secret that we do, by the way. We shouldn't
everything
really
is real on TV. I don't know.
Yeah. There's no B-roll. But yeah, it's a real challenge with the battery life.
Are you still producing a show?
Yeah, we're still releasing some things. We're going to film the Markhor hunt. Mm-hmm. We've been on a hiatus though for the last couple of years, and taken a break, for lack of a term. And we had a lot of stuff in the can. Mm-hmm. So we've been releasing some footage, but kind of, and coming into COVID was good timing to, take the break, and you couldn't really go anywhere other than a few places. Yeah,
you could.
I went to Tanzania actually during it. I love the way the Tanzanians put it. I said, "You guys aren't concerned about COVID down here?" And they go, "We have a lot worse things to worry about than COVID."
That's right. They did. We actually got pulled over at like a checkpoint when we left the Johannesburg airport, which is rather common, by the police. And the guy is screaming at me, "Aren't you afraid of Delta?" And he's screaming at me, and I'm like, don't they have that around the whole world? Like, it's not special for you. I'm not afraid because I'm going to keep living. And we did, but I remember I did get COVID, and I had this elephant drinking from the water, and I'm sitting in a blind, and it's 20 yards from me. And I was so sick I couldn't stay awake. I was like there is an elephant, a giant bull elephant 20 yards from me, and I can't stay awake. Like, that's when you know you're sick. You probably shouldn't be hunting, but I still hunted, and we had a great trip because you're there. I'm not staying inside just because I'm sick. I
had the opposite. I got it 3 times, and the only reason I knew I had it was because I was trying to get on an airplane, and you had to get tested. And I'd go in, they go, "Yeah, you got COVID." And I go, "No, I don't. I feel fine."
Yeah.
So each time I would go to another place and test again to see if they were wrong, because sometimes there was those false negatives, or what do they call them? And so I had to cancel 3 different trips.
Oh no!
Because I couldn't get on the plane positive, and but never had a symptom. Never lost taste. maybe a little bit of a runny nose, but it was kind of weird that, because some people got obviously really sick.
Oh, I was very sick. I was like, actually this close to going to the hospital. And I actually feel like I was lucky that I got sick there because they gave me medication that I couldn't have gotten here in the U.S. But then, unfortunately, we had to extend our trip.
Oh, bummer.
Oh, bummer. Yeah. So that I could fly home. And we were supposed to go to Europe, and I told my husband, I was like, I am not flying to Europe right now. Like, I just want to go home. I've been sick. And, we had to extend because you have to have recovered there's like a 10-day period. So we were actually, in country much longer than we had anticipated, which was a beautiful place to be sick.
Yeah.
The hippos running around and there's so many intoxicating factors about visiting other continents and countries. And
have you got anything coming up for overseas this year?
Not this year. So next year I'm trying to get my gray sheep. Mm-hmm. So next year I'm doing a fan and ram hunt with an outfitter in the Yukon. So
awesome.
That's my goal next year. And then I have harvested a moose, but I will have a permit for a moose in my pocket, and it'll be on a trophy fee. So if I see a moose that I want to harvest, it'll be
That'll be great.
Yeah, it'll be great. And then I'm going to do tar in New Zealand, which I've done once, but I'm going to do that again next spring. But then next on the short list is that Cape Buffalo. So one of these days I'm going to get there. And so what's the sickest place you've ever been?
Sickest?
Like, do you get, because I've heard people in China that get food poisoning and miserable in their yurts and
yeah.
Anything like that happen to you?
Oh yeah. Although I do have to say I kind of got an iron gut, I think probably from just
eating horse milk.
You eat so much bad stuff.
Curdled horse milk.
Yeah, I got sick in the Central African Republic one time, and my buddy Mac Padgett was with me, and we flew in there and we landed, and it was kind of a combo of a bunch of stuff, it turned out. But, the usual culprits of vomiting and diarrhea and stuff like that. But sick, you don't want to get out of bed sick. And of course, when you're in the middle of nowhere, and it's day one and you already feel like that, and it's a charter plane in and out, and it's a great hunting place, but there's no services or anything. And now, of course, it's closed, unfortunately. But we couldn't do anything for the first couple of days. And of course, my buddy and the PH, they're going and doing stuff and coming back, and I'm still there, and you gonna live or what? You're not drinking, are you sure? You must be dying. So finally it ran its cycle, but I was that far from pulling the trigger and saying send the plane. And so I was just eating. I try and carry a lot of stuff like Cipro, and I kind of got a little medicine.
And what were you hunting on that trip?
That was for bongo and forested Atunga. And what else did they have in there? Oh, the buffalo, the forest buffalo, and Central African buffalo. And then they had a lot of the dikers, the Red River hog, there's a red diker in there. What else was in there? But I had a really lucky trip. Oh, and also there's Lord Darby Eland in there.
Very big ones, yeah.
Yeah, and so it was a very successful trip. I mean, we got everything we went after on the trip, so it did pan out. But that getting that kind of sick is no fun when you're over there. But it was kind of like, I'm going to ride it out as long as I can, because once you leave, you can't go back.
You're not going back.
The guy's gonna, you're done. So, but
you made it through.
Yeah, I got pretty sick in Mongolia one time too, but that was probably from eating stuff. As you're eating it, you're thinking,
I probably shouldn't be eating this.
This isn't a good idea.
There's just something in the back of your brain that is telling you you're going to get ill from this.
There's something about the smell of this that's
not
doesn't
right.
quite, and
it's
then
not adding up.
Sure as hell about 12 hours later.
That is the worst feeling with fish too. So how many species have you hunted that you would say are not importable anymore or exportable from those countries that you feel especially privileged to have had the opportunity to have the experience that others don't now?
The big one would be China. When China was open, it was an incredible place to go, very organized. You could do the blue sheep that was there. Now you can do the same blue sheep in Pakistan now, but they also had the white-lipped deer that was in there. both of the takin, which is kind of like a musk ox for those of you who have never seen them. There's the golden one and then the Szechuan takin. There was several argalis that are in there that are found nowhere else, like the Gansu argali. Although I didn't shoot a Gansu argali, you couldn't export them at the time when I was there. Well, actually, you could. It was open for about a year where you could export them, and then it closed and never reopened. And I remember I was on the hillside, we were looking for blue sheep, riding these little ponies up, and it's super high, 15,000 feet
Very
plus.
high. Like you spend a day at a base camp probably acclimating.
Yep, we did. And you had to just sit around for a couple days before you could, go any further. And so all of a sudden this band of these rams of Gansu argalis come over, and they're going, do you want one? There's no interpreter or anything, it was just the local guides. And so I'm going, how much? I'm drawing a dollar sign in the dirt, and they said it was 10,000 US. But this is in like 1990 or something, something like that. So 10,000 was 10,000.
Yeah.
And I didn't have I could have sold something and had 10,000, but right? So I didn't shoot it because I couldn't take it home. It would have been a $10,000 picture. But a week later, you're like, I would have had one of the 4 Gansu argalis that were ever killed.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so I didn't do it. But China was one of those places that it was such a great experience, and now, and it'll never, I shouldn't say never, but
highly unlikely.
With the political problems and everything else, and lots of wildlife. You see a lot.
You wouldn't think of China, but it's a huge country, obviously. So.
And see also Tibet, which they called, when we say we were hunting blue sheep in China, you were actually hunting in Tibet, the Tibetan blue sheep. So got to see Lhasa Apso and all that stuff, and or Lhasa
Apso, I think, is the dog.
That's a dog. Named after Lhasa. Yeah. Wherever the guy,
they're cute and
wherever
fluffy.
the Dalai Lama's from. Yeah. Went by that place.
He hunted the Lhasa Apso in China.
Vicious little.
And then he ate that on the street food.
Vicious little critter.
There is a joke about eating dogs in China. Now we know where it comes from. It's the Lhasa Apso.
Speaking of which, of eating stuff, you mentioned earlier that I'm an author, and so I'm going with a new venue. I've done novels and I've done hunting books, but I thought this time I'm going to do a cookbook.
So just to clarify for the audience, you have done what I would call like a documentary style of your hunting stories.
Yeah.
But then you've also gone into some nonfiction or some fiction. Excuse me.
You got to remember, the hunting books are nonfiction. The novels
and then you've gone into fiction now as well. And now you're doing cooking?
Yeah, and so the thought is I'm going to do a new cookbook, and I'm going to do a Vietnamese, Cambodian kind of fusion.
Yeah.
And I'm going to call it 101 Ways to Walk Your Dog.
Into my stomach.
That's right. So that's my latest.
That's great.
My latest work.
The Vietnamese Asian fusion spin on dog walking.
That's right.
I have 2 dogs, and I don't want to eat either one of them. I did during COVID. I had a Maltese. And
We've evolved into talking about eating dogs.
Yeah, that's fine, because this is where it goes. But I found this meme, and it had a little white Maltese, and then it had all of the little cuts of meat kind of spelled out, like the loin and the ham, and it spelled it out in red lines around the little dog, and at the top of it said, in case things get really bad. And I sent it to my mom, and she was like, what is wrong with you? Like, well, you never know. I mean, my dog was little.
Can't buy toilet paper, might have to start eating dogs.
You might have to eat Zoe.
Yeah.
She was really old, though. You wouldn't probably want to eat her anyway.
Yeah. It's not that good. I mean, I've eaten it when I've been overseas over there, but it's an acquired taste.
Well, and I'm an advocate for eating anything, really. So horses, my husband's European, and eating horse is the same as eating beef in Europe. And so I'm always, when I'm talking about conservation and wildlife management, and I'm a huge advocate for eating feral horses in the United States. And you would think that some people's would want my hair to catch on fire as soon as I say that, but it is actually a very viable food source, and it's good food. And you have to do something with management of all wildlife. And so I'm a huge advocate for horse consumption. When I was in Germany this last Christmas, they actually sold donkey sausage at the Christmas market there, and the guy's like, oh, do you want to try it? And I'm like, I have no issue with people eating it. I just don't want to eat it. I don't need to eat a dog or a donkey. So I'm good. And I have tried horse meat. I'm not opposed to trying it. I've had it. You know, they cure it a lot like pastrami though in the lunch meat. It's very salty and.
Back to this year's hunting.
Yeah.
Going to Mozambique for the first time.
You are. You've never been to Mozambique.
Incredibly, because there's really nothing unique there. So
okay, well,
when I was out, you know, on the mission trying to collect stuff, you know, you don't. There's nothing that's there that you can't find
in another
else.
country.
Yeah. But Mark Haldane and Zambezi, you know, Delta, they've done such a great conservation job and brought the buffalo back and the lion program that they have with Cabela's and that I'm really excited to get down there and you know, go with those guys and see what their buffalo hunting is like. And they have the swamp buffalo, which is really, I really like doing that, you know, where you get out there and sneak in on them.
See, that's, when I go to hunt Cape buffalo, it will be in Mozambique. That is the one thing I'm like, hard no. I am not putting my foot and body in the water, in the swamp. What is in there?
Leeches.
Yeah. Okay.
That's always a great experience when you.
I don't want to do that. That's my one.
Pull
Can
your
we stay on
pants
dry
down,
ground?
you got like 30 leeches all attached to you.
It's life-saving in some cases.
Yeah.
I don't feel like that's the case.
That's kind of gross.
Yeah. How do you pull them off? You just.
Put a match on their head.
A match?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, that makes them let go now.
So don't get your matches wet?
That's right. Yeah. Make sure your
the
pH
leeches
smokes.
are permanently attached. Okay?
Yeah, make sure he's a smoker. But you know,
all the PHs are smokers. You don't have to worry about that. They all smoke.
That's the truth. But when you get out there, though, they're much calmer because they don't get pressured out there, and you can get in close, you know, and use a double and rifle, and so it's a nice way to go. Yeah,
that's insane. That's the one thing is I don't want to get in the water, but I do want to go there because they still have the tent safari camps and they have wild roaming lions, which you don't want to be in the dark with at night. I get that. I'll stay in my tent, but I definitely want to have that experience, just to have that wild. And you can hunt and harvest buffalo in South Africa for a fraction of the cost if you want just kind of that experience. But Mozambique is that, you know, wild.
Free range.
Yes.
And same thing with Inyala, you know, a great place for Inyala, free range ones, dikers. There's a lot of game there, so I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, really nice kudu.
Leopard.
Something different to do, But yeah, it'll be fun. New place.
Brand new. I'm on the list. Someday I will be there. But for me, that's one of the reasons I moved to Wyoming as well, is because I can do so much hunting from that DIY perspective that I can actually take the money that I would normally be spending to go on outfitted hunts for North American species like mule deer or elk, and I can actually just save that money in a little coffer.
Yep.
And that's kind of my hunting budget, if you will. And now I can allocate other funds into places. And you know, this year I don't have anything truly remarkable. My husband's Swedish, so we'll hunt roe deer in Sweden. But that's, you know, that's on his family farm. It's like hunting a white-tailed deer here.
Yeah.
But I am working on, you know, that it will be 26 or 27 before.
But isn't it fun though, getting to go on your, like, do it yourself, and you go and you take your horses or your mules or you hike in and all that. I mean, that really is, to me, even after all the things that you've done and going to all these different places, it's your chance to, you know, do real hunting on your own. And
well, it was with my dad, and you know, I spend all of my free time. Well, I like animals more than people, so I have one friend in Sheridan. Pretty much, no offense to the other people of Sheridan, I love you guys, but I don't have a lot of friends. And my husband was gone for 2 weeks in March in Sweden, and I realized I did not see a human because all I do is either work in my office or I'm out at my little, they call it a pasture there with mules. And so hunting Wyoming, it's great because I'm with my best friends, which is my mules that I hang out with every day, and my dad, and it's just like being home. You know, I can go hunt and then go home, but then I get to dream about these other adventures. And there's so many people out there that are saying, well, I can't afford to do those things. And I am a huge Dave Ramsey follower. And I was at SCI this year, and I listened to a guy just scoff. I can't afford this, I can't afford that. And I was like, did you go to Starbucks today? And he's like, yeah, I went and got a coffee. And I'm like, if you gave that up for a year or two, guess what? You can afford.
You can go to South Africa.
Your priorities are messed up.
Yeah.
And this other guy that was listening is like, I like your philosophy, but it's true. We all have priorities in our spending. And you think about how many hundreds of dollars a month you spend eating out instead of eating at home, or going to a coffee shop, or buying another pair of jeans or shoes you don't really need.
Yeah.
And you lose focus on a dream because you think it's so out of reach, when really the only thing that's out of reach is your lifestyle and lifestyle creep. And if people checked and lived day to day a more humble lifestyle, then you save and you're purposeful. You can go anywhere in the world you want to go.
You're right on the money. I mean, it's like I said in the beginning, it's about setting goals and priorities. And when you set a goal and you say, this is what I want to do, it's amazing how you will change little things in your life that it turns it around, and all of a sudden you can go because you set a goal. So
I want to talk really briefly, because we're I could talk about your hunting stories and everything with you for hours, because you're absolutely fascinating to me, about some of the most proud accomplishments you've done on the conservation side, because there is so much you have given to SCI and Grand Slam Ovis Club and the two organizations, just to name two, that you're notable for your contributions. Can you tell us about our viewers and listeners maybe a project or two that you're extremely proud of?
We talked earlier about this,
the
lion darting program, which is our latest great project. We've been funding some other programs with boreholes in different places, water holes. Locally, like in Montana, as an example, I had a place in southeast where we set aside 9 miles of the Powder River and put an easement on for 1 mile of the river, 1 mile off of the river all the way along it for the 9 miles, to set it aside for wildlife and keep the cattle off of it, to try and bring the edge back.
White-tailed turkey habitat,
And literally in a year, it took off. I mean, the habitat just grew back once it, and I'm pro cattle and have lots of cattle and love it. But it's just a way of giving back and protecting that area. Plus, it makes for great hunting. Let's not be too holier than thou, but all of a sudden you had every whitetail in the neighborhood living there. So I think it's things like that. I mean, I think wetlands protection projects.
Because you live in a flyway.
Yeah, we have really good duck hunting, and spend a lot of time doing that, enhancing the areas and making sure that we are producing food for the ducks so they stay through the winter, and nesting habitat and things like that. So I think those are probably the ones dearest to my heart, because you're hands-on doing them. We funded a lot of projects worldwide, but the ones you get to see day to day are the ones that are really close to your heart.
I agree. Yeah. There is so much impact. I think for me, the experiences I've had with some of the kids in orphanages and schools in Africa, be it South Africa or Namibia, I've only been to 2 countries. So my experience there is very limited, but that has been perspective changing. When you see kids without shoes and they've never owned shoes, and there's all these things, SCI with taking blue bags over there and being part of that on my trips there has been extremely enriching to my life. But you're right, what you do at home, influencing a kid at home, especially with where our media is and the public opinion on hunting is on the decline, the work that we do at home is so important so that we can continue to spearhead conservation efforts, continue the right to hunt and fish, and have people understand the value of it in today's society. It is probably the most important.
For sure.
For us, just because it's here.
And take a kid hunting.
Yeah.
Even if it's not your kid, take them out. We try and get kids out, teaching about duck hunting and pheasant hunting and stuff like that for a starter,
Do you cut their stomachs apart and watch, have the kids see what they're eating and do that whole deal?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating.
And cleaning them and then cook them up and everything else. It's and it brings it full circle for them. But I think it's important because we're losing head count when it comes to hunters, and especially kids that live in the city that are never going to have the opportunity. And there's a lot of kids out there that are broken homes. Dad's not around to take them hunting, or dad never did hunt. And even fellow friends, like living in the Northwest in the Seattle area. I live outside of Seattle, just to be clear. But, take a friend out that's not a hunter, or take them fishing, get them out in the outdoors. And I've never taken anybody that doesn't get hooked. They want to go the first time, you take them out, plinking with 22s first, or pistols, and they've never shot a pistol. And next thing you know, they're buying a gun and
they realize it's fun.
Going on getting their hunter safety certificate, and you've created a new advocate. So
that's one of the things I did when I moved to Wyoming was became a hunter ed instructor, and it is really difficult to become a hunter ed instructor in Wyoming. They make it's a huge process, but there is such a need for hunter education. I encourage everybody, if you can become a hunter ed instructor, please do it, because there's such a need locally. And then Wyoming Game and Fish has a subset called Wyoming, where the Wildlife Fund is, WYLD Life Fund. And Maria Davidson from SCIF, and she's the large carnivore manager. She and I just spent last week with kids mentoring them. Half the kids are local from Wyoming that grow up in different, they're not troubled kids, but they're at a higher risk demographic. And then they bring in kids from around the United States. So some kids came from New Jersey, some kids came from California, and we immerse them for a week in this wild experience. And it's non-hunting, it's fly fishing. I mean, they talk about wildlife conservation principles, it's horseback riding, it's survival. I mean, there's the whole breadth of educational curriculum. And Wyoming Wildlife Fund is funding that, and they have a boys camp and a girls camp. But it's a 100% scholarship program. It is extremely expensive. So I always want to encourage people, find these local programs or subsets in your states, because getting these kids that are in or coming from families that are non-hunting, anti-hunting, and getting them to a wild place, so you can only protect what you love, and you only love what you know. And we have to introduce more people to wildlife and wild places, because otherwise they're just learning from Sierra Club how bad we are as hunters.
Yeah, and Disney.
And Disney, oh boy, yeah. Well, and I'm going to tell you, the prince, it doesn't exist, okay? This whole thing that Disney sold me as a child, I call BS, and it's not real, okay? I've never kissed anybody that's been a frog that's turned into anything apart from a frog, so.
There's no hope for us then, I guess.
No, and I tried. My dad brought me this big bullfrog when I was a little kid, and we have pictures of me kissing. This frog did not work, Disney lies, okay, yeah.
Did you get a word on your lip from it?
No, I never got words from it. It was a big old frog, and then I turned it loose, and my dad was mad because he was going to eat it. And I was like, whatever. Saved the frog from my dad. The full circle right there.
Yeah, conservationist.
Yeah, I was conserving the bullfrogs of Oregon at the time. So if people want to read your books, how do they? You have a website.
I do. Go to jallansmith.com, and Alain is ALAIN, the French version, and everything's there. We've got our shows on YouTube, same thing, J. Alain Smith, and we've got, 150 some shows on there, and some music, and we're gonna have a podcast on there.
Are you?
Yeah, this one.
Well, I know, but you're not launching your own podcast.
No.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I'm leaving that to the pros. And then
he has really high expectations for this, so
the books
I'm a
are there.
Nervous now.
Books are there also. There's 3 novels, and I don't know. I think there's 6.
2 or 3.
3 novels and 6 hunting books.
Okay.
And novels doing great. Thank you to everybody who's buying them. The one has been a bestseller.
The thing with his books is the proceeds from his books go back to conservation.
Yeah.
So you're writing these books, you're sharing these stories, you're sharing these experiences, and it's not in a self-ish capacity. You want to share your journey, but you're also giving back in the process. So that's something.
We've raised over $350,000 from book sales, so it's been great. And thank you to everybody that's bought them, and it's gone to all the organizations, and
they make a great gift, and if nothing else, you can just put them in your bathroom, and if somebody's bored for a long time in there.
And for those of you guys that you say, well, I don't really read that much, you have to look at my hunting books like this. A great guy once told me, your hunting books are kind of like Playboy. The pictures are a lot better than the words. So there's some good photos, some good hunting photos in there.
Yeah,
So,
the places you've seen through your eyes and the optic of a camera is, I'm sure it's pretty incredible. So you guys, I encourage you all to check out what Alan, I'm allowed to call him Alan
Sure.
now, because we're now friends.
Yeah.
Encourage you to follow along with what he's doing. Again, if you have an opportunity to come to an event, say hi, rib him a little, and just have a good time. Come have a good time with us at convention, because that's what we're all here to have a good time and conserve what we love. And thank you all for tuning into this episode, and thank you for joining me here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
this has been great.
It's my pleasure.
Let's go hunting somewhere.
Well, now I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you need to hold off on your Mozambique trip another year, and I'll go with you.
I'll bring a cameraman. Maybe you can come on this one.
Yeah, that's right. We're making plans already, you guys. Stay tuned.
Cameraman's nodding. Yes.
He's back there like,
I'm
yes, I'm in. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you.
When conditions get tough on a mountain hunt, your gear must be tougher. Making every opportunity count means selecting equipment that will not fail. Any condition, anywhere, Hornady Outfitter ammunition is designed to perform. Available in a wide range of cartridges from .243 to .375 Ruger. When you're looking for a hard-hitting, deep penetrating bullet and cartridge that performs in the most rugged environments, look no further than Hornady Outfitter ammunition. Thank you for listening to the Wild and Uncut podcast. If you would like to hear more, be sure to subscribe to my Pursue the Wild digital series on YouTube and follow me at Kristy Titus on Facebook and Instagram.